I don't know how to start this video. It feels so surreal, and I'm just like, oh. We're moving. We are finally moving, and this is going to be a story time video about how we got to today. Hey everyone, if this is your first time stumbling across my channel, it's kind of a weird video to stumble across. My name is Christine. I am a homeschooling mom of 3, and that is what this channel is all about. I share lots of homeschool content, but today's video is a little bit different. It was a video that I have been dreaming about making for about 3 years now, and I did not know if the day would ever come. And it doesn't feel real. And now that I'm actually sitting down to film it, I'm like, whoa, all the emotions are right there. So it could be interesting. But we're moving house, and it sounds weird probably to people to see like emotions about moving house. Like, it's not that big of a deal. A lot of these things I'm going to talk about are very, like, first world problems. I am aware of that. But this has been a journey for our family, for me specifically. A journey of letting go of dreams and handing them over to the Lord and trusting Him over and over and over again. And we're on the other end of it. And He has been good all the way through the hard stuff and the good stuff. He's been good. And so we're moving house, and I've got a lot to share with you guys because it's been like 2.5 months where I haven't been able to share anything. I've been super sort of evasive in my answers to people, and I've asked for your prayers. I've told you that we've had big disruption, but I didn't want to talk about it while our house was on the market. Not because I didn't want to share like the journey of it with you guys in live time. It was more just for privacy's sake, you know. And so I just wanted to keep it on the down low until we had some kind of resolution. And we do. We're moving. It's happening for sure. I have to keep saying that to myself because there's been so many times where it almost fell through, and so it's hard to grasp the certainty of it. So where do we get started? Let's start at the beginning, and I think the beginning really is 3 years ago. We started tentatively looking to move house. So to give you some context, the house we live in now belongs to us. It's a beautiful home that we have loved. It's where I brought 2 of my babies home. I was pregnant with my 2nd child when we moved here, and it's had a lot of life lived in it, this little home. We've also renovated it from top to bottom. We put in a new bathroom. We knocked down walls. We redid the kitchen. We painted every surface, redone all the flooring, like everything. And then this last year, I really got stuck into the gardens and did a lot of garden work. We put in like a full beautiful fenced vegetable garden, and I painted a lot of the fences, like just lots and lots of stuff. We have done a lot of living in this home. It's got some very, very precious memories in it. And we've been here for 7 years. And we always thought this is our first home. We always thought we'd be here probably for 5 to 10 years was kind of the idea. And so we started looking about 3 years ago, just before the pandemic. We're dipping our toes in the water kind of thing. We weren't really ready to do anything yet, but we were starting to look. And we did see a house we really liked, really loved it actually. And then the pandemic hit, and so we kind of stepped back and we're like, now's not the time. And then later that year, we had some family stuff that went on, some health stuff, and it just wasn't the right time for us to be pursuing another home. But it was still in our hearts, and we wanted to move, and the reason why we have wanted to move is not because we haven't been content. Like, the Lord really has given me a lot of contentment in this home. It's not a big house. It's about 100 square meters, which I think when you convert that to feet. I think it's just over 1,000 square feet. So it's about there. It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom home. So just like a very typical starter home here in New Zealand. And I think because we do everything here, we homeschool and we live here, it's just the 4 walls of this house have started to feel a little small and a little cramped. And as our kids have gotten older, we just want a bit more space. So things that we really wanted was better indoor-outdoor flow. That's not something we have here, and it's just not something we can achieve just because of the layout of the home. And we just wanted another living space. So we've always wanted either a 4th bedroom or a 2nd living room. So those were kind of like our things that we desired. And then there are other things that were kind of on a wish list, but weren't like deal breakers. You know, they were just like cream on top if we got them. So anyway, go back the pandemic year. Nothing really happened there, but you know, we were getting our finances in order, trying to decide what we could afford. And of course, like the majority of the rest of the world, the property market went berserk, like just started flying. And so it was a rough time out there. So the year after that, so 2021, we put an offer in on a home, which I am now very glad we didn't get, but at the time I was devastated. We put an offer in on a home, and our offer was not accepted. It was a really good offer, but because it was subject to the sale of our house, they overlooked it for another one, because cash was king in that market. Like, people just could buy like that, and we might have been able to afford a higher offer, but we couldn't do cash offer. So we missed out on that home, and I was devastated. And then we looked at another house, I think the same year, but decided not to pursue it. And then the following year, 2022, we put in an offer on a home. And I didn't expect us to get that house, not because we couldn't afford it, because again, we had a good, healthy offer, but because we knew that the vendor wanted a quick sale. And so it was right. They chose a cash offer. And I was disappointed that we didn't get that home, but I wasn't devastated like the first one. I don't know why. It was just like, yeah, just, I was resigned at that point because the market was just so hot, and it was just so unlikely that our offer would have been picked. But anyway, it was hard, and I really handed the whole thing over to the Lord, because it's exhausting trying to buy a house. It's just exhausting. If you've done it, and my husband's always like, don't get so emotionally involved. But the reality is, for me, my home it's everything. It's my haven. It's where I raise my kids for the vast majority of the time. I cannot not have emotion attached to it. So if I'm going to put an offer in on a house, it's because I love it, because I'm not going to buy it otherwise. So anyway, the hard thing was the market was so crazy, but also where we live, the property market is not huge. And so you don't get a lot of houses on the market that even were close to what we were looking for. Like 4-bedroom homes are quite rare here. And if you do get them, they're like really, really expensive. And so it was hard to find something that was sort of in that middle ground. Anyway, so that brings us to present day, kind of. 2.5 months ago, 3 months ago, I guess. I saw this house on the market, and I've been looking for, like I said, like 3 years. I've been keeping tabs on houses, and I had no idea if we could afford it, but I sent it through to my mom. And she was like, that's a really nice house. You should go look at it. She said, I think you could afford it. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And the reason I said that is because the method of sale that was chosen for it was for sale by tender. And if you don't know what that means, it basically is, typically they don't give you a guide price. You can sometimes they do, but they don't typically. And so you just have to give your best offer, which sucks for the buyer. It really, really sucks. And so I was like, I don't know if we can afford it. But anyway, my mom and I went and looked at the house together. And the reason I didn't go with my husband is because it stresses him out, the house buying process. And so I really didn't want to bring it to him until I was sure it was like a real contender. And so I went and looked at it with my mom, and I loved it. Like, I loved the house. I loved the potential it had. And so I went home that day and I started getting everything organized. I got our finance organized. I made sure that I could get insurance on the house. I did all like the due diligence, like background stuff. And then I took it to my husband and I said to him, I think this is a good home. And would you consider coming to look at it with me? And he said, sure. And so we went, it was Easter weekend, it was Easter Monday, we went and looked at the home. And my husband really liked it. And I say that, like, it was just funny because we're completely different. I go into a house and I see all the potential and the possibilities. He goes into a house and he sees all the work that needs to be done on it and the potential pitfalls and stuff. And that works really well because it gives us a balanced outlook. So for him to go into the house and have liked it right away was like a really big deal. So he liked it. We had to have an offer in, I think by like that Thursday. So it was not a lot of time at all. Thankfully, we were able to get organized very quickly because we've kind of been in this like house searching mode for years now. So we knew the process. So we put in an offer and I was quietly confident, which I hadn't been with the other houses, but it's because the market had cooled down quite a lot by that stage. And it was a unique home, and it was in an area that's not highly sought after. Not because it's a bad area, but it's a small township. And so our offer was accepted. And it was so funny because I remember getting the phone call, and I screamed after I put the phone down. I was so excited. And my poor daughter, my youngest daughter, had no idea what was going on. And she was down the hallway, and all she heard was this like hysterical scream. And her response was like straight screaming, like hysterics. And I felt so bad because she was freaked out. Anyway, I was so overjoyed. And I thought, good, the high price is done now. We just need to sell our house and go. And the reason I thought that is because we'd always been told our house would sell real quick. It's in pretty immaculate condition. It's been renovated really well. And it's a starter home, so, lots of buyers, all that kind of thing. Wow. Oh, my word, guys. Selling the house was the hardest part, by far. So, we listed our house really quickly. I was so stressed out because I got just hyper fixated on all the tiny little things that I could see were imperfections in our home, which is just so silly because someone who walks through doesn't see that stuff. But you just kind of hyper fixate on stuff, and I just stressed myself out. But we decluttered, we like tidied everything up, touched up paint, got it ready, got it listed on the market. And the first open home came, and it was a bust. I think we had like one group through, and they just weren't really interested, and I was devastated. I was so disappointed. I was starting to stress because we had to sell our house by a certain point, and we were at the bottom of this long property chain that were houses all subject to sale. So like we had to sell in order for all of these other houses to sell. And if something went wrong up the line, it could like jeopardize us getting the house we wanted to get. And like it was, blah. There were so many moving parts, and it was just really, really hard waiting. So we ended up adjusting the price, which we were totally fine with. We went in with pretty realistic expectations because we knew the market had dropped. So we adjusted our price, and thankfully that garnered quite a lot more interest. And we got a couple through who really loved the home and wanted to put an offer in. And that was like a whole thing. We had negotiations with lawyers, back and forth, and we ended up settling on something. And then we set settlement date, or not settlement date, an unconditional date, which in New Zealand, what happens is you typically accept an offer and then you have a date by which they have to have all their conditions satisfied. So like they might want like a building inspection and like just due diligence and to get their finance approved and stuff. And they have to get it done by a certain date. And then once that date comes, that's when you technically sell your house. And then you've got your date where you settle and that's like your moving date. So we had this date to go unconditional. Well, they couldn't satisfy all of their conditions by that date, which was extremely stressful and disappointing. So again, I thought, you know what? Our contract's going to expire with the house we're buying, and they're going to have other offers, and so the whole thing's going to fall over. And I was just like living in this constant state of, are we going to get the house? Are we not going to get the house? Are we going to get the house? Or are we not going to get the house? For 2.5 months. It was so stressful. So anyway, thankfully, there were no other offers, and they granted a week's extension. And then that week, which was last week, we did manage to go unconditional, but not before all the stress in the world came through. So everything was fine. Like they had met all their conditions, but there was just stuff that went on in the background with like people holding things up. And on the day that we actually went unconditional, I told my husband, I either made or received over 20 phone calls that day. And that does not include the emails that were sent or the text messages that were sent. And I was also homeschooling my kids and doing like ballet drop-off and grocery pickup, all in amongst that. I mean, like, it was so insane and intense. But we managed to go unconditional. And we went unconditional on the home that we're buying. And I have to just, like, I know a lot of people probably just don't even care about this part. They're just like, oh yeah, you're moving, tell us about the house. But I have to tell that part because the last 2.5 months have been so hard. They've been hard because, like, it's a first world problem. So I feel like silly being like, oh, poor us, we have to miss out on a house when we already have a home, you know? But this house had a lot of, like, I'm going to tell you about it and you'll understand a little bit more. It just had a lot of heart's desires in it and things that I thought we would never get. And it's not a fancy, expensive house. I mean, it is expensive. Well, let me take that back. It's very expensive relative, but it's not like a luxurious mansion or anything like that. And it's definitely not fancy. But there's just so many things about it that the Lord just knew meant so much to me. And I didn't ask for. And he gave us anyway. And this last 2.5 months of like seeing that and thinking we might not get it, it was such a trust exercise in being like, Lord, you're good even if we don't get it. I trust you even if we don't get it, you know, and we'll be okay even if we don't get it. And that's hard. It's hard to put those things, you know, to give those things back to him when they're like right there and they're so close. That's been really hard. So yeah, I'm really grateful to be at the other end of it. And it's also just really hard to be living in limbo and to have your house clean all the time and like ready for viewings and all that kind of thing. I'm sure if you have sold a home, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and trying to homeschool kids and like all that on top of it. It was just a lot. So we got there in the end. And everyone was like, oh my goodness, it's so exciting. And honestly, I didn't really feel any excitement the day we went unconditional because I was so exhausted. Like, I went to bed early. The next day I had an excruciating headache, and it was just from like all the tension in my shoulders and everything. Thankfully now, after a weekend of rest, I can truly say I'm like so excited, and I just cannot believe this is our life. And I'm thrilled to share with you the goodness of the Lord. And I have been on my knees like begging him over the stuff and just begging him for faith through it all. And so I just don't want to hold back any of praising him because I truly believe that it's his goodness that got me through this. And that he looks at his children and he only gives us good things, you know, and sometimes that feels unfair, but sometimes you see it in this way where it's like stuff I wouldn't have even dared ask for, and he's given it to us. So let me tell you about our new home because I'm so excited to share it with you guys. I know I've got longtime followers. I know a lot of you had guessed that the news I hadn't like shared was that we were moving, and like, yeah, because you know, we've been on this journey for a while. And you know about when we didn't get the house and then we didn't get the other house and all that kind of stuff. So I really want to share it with you. So let's talk about the house. Right now we live in a home, a 3-bed, 1-bathroom home that is about 100 square meters. And our new home is almost twice the size of our current home. It's actually more if you include the outside space, which I'm going to talk about in a bit. But it is, so we wanted either a second living room or a 4th bedroom. Basically just a space that we could turn into a second living room. The Lord gave us both. So we're moving into a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home with 2 living areas. And my mind is just blown because I'm just like, what are we going to do with that space? Like, I just can't even imagine. So, I mean, I can. I've been lying in bed at night, like dreaming up all these amazing things. So this house is a 2-storied home, which is something that I just have dreamed about having. And that's probably going to sound really silly to people who, like, that's just a normal thing. In New Zealand, there's not a lot of double-storied houses, and a lot of them have your living area upstairs and your bedrooms downstairs because they like to have the views, and I just don't care for that layout. This house is a very traditional home. It has a beautiful entryway. All the bedrooms are upstairs, and the living area is downstairs. It has the indoor-outdoor flow that we really, really want. It has a beautiful covered veranda, like a deck, that comes off the living area at the back of the house and into a really lovely, generous garden. It's got everything we wanted. So I'm going to have a whole living area that is just going to be like a library slash sitting room. And I'm just so excited about that. It has an ensuite bathroom, which we'd hoped for, but it wasn't like a make or break for us. We wanted to have the option of having a second bathroom, specifically a second toilet, because it just is one of those things. There's like a line outside our toilet room, like I swear, all the time. It's just a thing. So having 2 toilets was like something we really want. And there's actually the room for us to be able to put in a 3rd bathroom down the line. There used to be 3 bathrooms in the house, and they converted it at some point, but we can do that down the line. So maybe when our kids are teenagers or whatever, we could install a 3rd bathroom if we wanted to. But as it stands, that's the amount of space we have. Right now in our home, like all of our bedrooms have built-in closets, but I have 1 hallway closet, and that's it, and it's like this wide. And that's my linen closet in this house. And the new house we're going to has 4 hallway closets. And I'm just like, I'm going to have places to put my board games and linens and yeah. Anyway, it's just going to be a big blessing, the extra space. Our bedroom is like twice the size of our current room. We're going to have a fireplace, which is something that was on our hope for list. Something we really wanted. Again, we had one in this house and we had to take it out. It just was not right for this house and it took up too much space. And we've really missed having a fireplace. So we're going to have a fireplace. The kids each get their own rooms. The garden, I'm so excited about the garden. So the outside of the house definitely needs a refresh. Inside, the bathrooms and, one of the bathrooms and the kitchen has all been done. Like, not to a high standard. It's kind of like a blank canvas, but it's modernized, okay? Upstairs, the bathroom needs refinishing, but it's perfectly fine as it is. Like, it's totally livable. It's something we'll get to one day. And this is our home that we plan on raising our kids in. We want to be there for a long time. So we can take our time with doing things up. But outside needs a bit of a refresh. Ultimately, the house needs repainting. But the gardens are kind of like a blank slate. It's got all the landscaping. It just needs filling up. There are already raised veggie gardens in the backyard. I'm just so excited. There's fruit trees, already established fruit trees. I have been keeping my fruit trees in pots because I knew we'd move from here and I wanted to take them with me. I have fallen in love with gardening over the last year, and so I'm just so excited about that. And then I just have to tell you about this. I'm still sitting here thinking, I cannot believe I'm filming this video because I've dreamed about doing this so many times. But the thing that just makes me want to weep every time, there's so many things because there's so many little details about this house that I'm just the Lord's just so good. He's just so kind. But one of the things that I hadn't even dreamed about having was a workspace for myself. So right now we have our office in our living area. In our living area, we've got our laundry is in our kitchen, which is an open plan design with our living room and our office. So everything is in one space. In this new house, I have a separate laundry room that's really generous. I have our TV's going to be in a separate room from where our homeschool is, and our kitchen and dining area. Everything's just separate. My husband's going to have his own office upstairs, and I'm going to have my own workspace. But when I say my own workspace, it's insane. So the house has a detached garage, which is great. That we have that now. This one's nicer. But what it has is a second story. They have fully lined and insulated the top attic space above. It's like a loft space above the garage. And it's a big space. It's bigger than my current master bedroom in my home. And that is going to be my studio. I get to have a quiet place where I can go and work without the TV going or the washing machine. I don't even know how I'm going to, I mean, like, I know how I'm going to use it, but I just, like, I can't fathom having space like that to myself. So that's just something I never even dreamed about having. So I can set up my filming equipment and it's going to stay there, and I don't have to take it down. I don't have to film in my bedroom anymore. I don't have to, like, threaten my children not to make too much noise every time I go and film a video, because we live in such a small space. I'm like, please don't fight in the background while I'm filming. It's incredible. And I just, there is this story that I've thought about it so many times in life. And it's from the testimony of a woman named Darlene Rose. And she was a prisoner of war. She was a missionary at the time. And she was taken into prison and kept in just, like, appalling conditions. This was over in Asia. And I probably even told this story here before on my YouTube, but she talked about how she was just fantasizing about having a banana. And she kept telling the Lord that she wanted this. And then she kept telling him about all the ways that he shouldn't do it, because, or like all the reasons he couldn't do it and shouldn't do it, because it's going to hurt this person or someone's going to get in trouble and blah, 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 blah. And the end of the story, and this is a true story, is that she prayed for one banana and the Lord brought her 101. Just out of nowhere, somebody brought to her prison cell 101 bananas on a bunch. And that story has stuck with me so mmany times in life, where, like, we limit the Lord by our lack of faith, or we think of him as, like, this God who only, like, gives, like, a miserly God, when in actual fact, like, he's our Father, and he wants to bless us, and he wants to give us all the good things, whether we deserve them or not, because that's who he is. And that this house is my story. It's like my banana story, where I just asked for this much and he's given us so much more. And it doesn't mean that the journey to it was easy, because it wasn't. It was really, really hard. But I just want to share it because he's just good. And I told him so many times when I was begging him for a resolution that I would praise him no matter what. And so I just want everyone to know that he's a good God and he loves his children, and I just see his hand in our lives. And I totally understand that this video is very different to any of my, like, typical homeschool videos. But so many of you have been such faithful prayer warriors and just encouragers, and I wanted to share this with you because it's just been such a big thing in our lives. And, like, I just cannot even tell you the relief I feel about, like, just putting roots down and knowing that we're going to be there, like, hoping. I mean, that's the plan. You know, the Lord changes things, but that is our plan. That's going to be our home where we can host Christmas, because we're going to have the space. Like, we just haven't had the space to host friends and family in our home. And my camera just cut me off. I knew it was going to happen. I knew I was going to get long-winded in this. But there are just so many things that I am excited about when it comes to our home, like decorating. You know, you guys know this. A lot of you know this. I love to do DIY projects in our house, and this home is, like, really cool because there's nothing structural that needs doing to it. Everything is just cosmetic, and so that's really cool because I can get stuck in, and I'm so excited to, like, do the kids' rooms. Like, there's just, I kind of, like, reached a point in this house where I was like, I really can't justify doing anything more because we want to sell it, and it was like, oh, it was killing me because it's just my creative outlet is to do that. And so I love DIY, budget-friendly renovation, and I'm just, like, thrilled to get stuck into that. But I'm just going to pace myself because it's a whole house that's, like, twice the size of our current home. But, like, I love antiques and thrift stores and stuff, and I've not bought stuff because I've got nowhere to put it in our current home, and that's been a blessing to, like, not spend money. But I'm excited about, like, just curating a home that feels warm and welcoming and inviting to people. And, you know, as my kids are getting older, them bringing their friends over and just having that place for them. I cannot wait. I'm so excited, and I'm just so grateful for it all. So that is the very long story of how we sold our house and bought our new family home. And I also had a moment, I'm sorry, I'm like such a emotional mess. I've like barely cried at all through this whole process, and I feel like now it's finally like, whoa. But I remember days living in this house, like after I'd had my second child, and I just remember feeling so lonely. We lived in this town, and I knew no one except for like some immediate family. And I remember just thinking like, Lord, like, when am I going to have friends, and when am I going to have that community? And at the time, like, we were very content in our home. And then last year, the Lord brought the community. And, like, I've got such good friends here now. And then this year, he brought the house. And it's just like, oh, things that felt absolutely impossible are now our reality. And he just wants us to be faithful and to continue in service to him. So I hope this is just an encouragement for any of you who are like in a time of waiting, because I know what that feels like, and I know what it feels like to see everyone else getting their answers and their happy endings and all that. And it is hard, but it's a time to grow. It's a time to lean in to your faith and to draw closer to him and to trust him, and it really proves your faith. It really does. So yeah, I've been very much an imperfect person throughout all of this. I definitely lost my temper many times with my kids during this, just because, you know, my mind was elsewhere, and it was really hard. I'm so grateful to be able to go back to just being a homeschool mom. And I don't mean that in a degrading sense, but like, I'm so over all the admin of like calling lawyers and accountants and like banks, and like, I'm just so over all of that. It takes up so much mental energy, and I'm grateful for that to be done. Yeah, my goodness, what a journey. And just know that I'm praying for those of you who are on whatever wait it is. You know, we all have different things in our lives that we have to wait for. And I think that's sometimes the hardest thing. And just living in limbo is just so hard. It's so hard. So yeah, that is my update story. We will be moving very soon. This will be the last time, like this batch of videos I'm filming today is the last time I will be filming. And I think we either would have moved or be very close to moving by the time you see this video. And the next time you see my face will most likely be in our new home. If you're not signed up to my email newsletter, sign up there, because that's where I tend to keep you up to date more and like live. And also my Instagram. I'm probably going to be on there a lot more now that I'm not on the phone with lawyers and all of the people all of the time. So anyway, if you have questions for me, I might film like a Q&A video if you want to know something about this. That's actually probably a really good idea, because I am changing our homeschool schedule a little bit. Like, we're going to just push through our break and take a longer break a little bit later over when we move. Yeah, but I also might do a lot of that in our term update, because that won't be far away either. That's probably one of the first videos I will film at the new house. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being such good friends and such an encouraging community. I really appreciate you. I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.
What if the world had more of your smile? What if the wind could spread your love? What if your sweetness could reach everyone? There'd be no wars,